Happy New Year! Today I'm going to be going over my plans for my channel in this new year of 2023. Some of it will be a bit of a repeat from last year's video for channel plans because unfortunately I just, didn't get around to doing all the planned videos I was hoping to do for various reasons for one another. And so anyway, the first and foremost, I should like to continue improving my thumbnail skills, my editing, the lighting, and just the technical things like that, because I know I still kind of look amateurish with like the thumbnails and lighting and sound and the camera and stuff. Can't really compete with like the big boys and big girls of YouTube, but hopefully I am like improving like significantly from when I first started making content again in September of 2021. Yeah, I can't believe it's been that long already. I would also like to hopefully try getting back into readathons and read-alongs. I did participate from January until June of last year, but unfortunately I kind of gave up. I was kind of like depressed and feeling demoralized because they just weren't like having the like results I was like naively hoped they would. I had like unfortunately believed that would be a great opportunity for networking and making friends. Oh, these people are all doing the same event, and they'll look at my video too, and I'm commenting on their videos, so they'll definitely be coming around to me and seeing, oh, I have similar taste in reading to them, and we're doing the same event, so maybe we can, be friends, things like that. But unfortunately, I barely made any new subscribers that I know of, at least from participating in all these events, and only as far as I remember, only two of the hosts of these mini readathons I participated in actually came around to any of my videos at all. So that was just, I guess I just had the wrong expectations. So now that I have more like realistic, honest expectations, these aren't really meant for like making friends and networking. They're basically just meant like, for people who are already friends to comment on one another's videos. And if you do happen to meet some new people during these events, like so much the better. But anyway, there are a number of readathons I would like to do because, I just like the topic. Like, for example, there's an ongoing like year-long historical nonfiction readathon, and particularly because the first, I believe, 3 months of the readathon are devoted to books about prehistory, which is one of my favoriteest eras of history, like since I was like 8 years old in the second grade, and I've already got several books out of the library about prehistory because I can't say enough about how much I absolutely love, evolutionary biology and paleoanthropology and our prehistoric ancestors. My favorites have always been the Neanderthals. I can't say enough about how much I love it. That's, one of my absolute, dream careers if, things had gone a little bit differently for me. Last year, I had hoped to do like a little series about a bookshelf tour. Unfortunately, as I've mentioned multiple times, like 99% of my books and other belongings are in storage 900 miles away. But I do have these books behind me on my shelf, and like I think at least, yeah, there are some more in my closet and like scattered around here and there in the house I'm currently living in. But unfortunately, like the first video bookshelf tour, it was like a video redo of something I had done like near the beginning of starting to make content again, like basically a walkthrough of my Jewish religious books. Unfortunately, again, like 99% of my Jewish books are in storage, but I do have, these ones behind me. But unfortunately, there was only one person who commented on that video redo, and it was the same one and only person who had commented on my previous video I had done of that topic. So I just figured like people just aren't interested in this topic and they don't really know who I am. So like, why should I bother to keep doing like bookshelf tours if only like the same person is commenting on all of them, or I'm not even getting any comments? So, but if more people do begin, like interacting with me and becoming friends with me, I should really like to resume this, like video, like bookshelf tour series, because that was just, something I thought people would be interested in, because I've seen many people on BookTube doing their own, like, oh, do a tour of my library, like either like in all one big lump sum or like breaking it into parts, like, oh, these are these books on this shelf and that's on the shelf above and the shelf below. So more detailed stuff like that. So hopefully if I get more active subscribers, I really, really would like to start doing that. I also plan to do some more Dantean vlogs. That was one of the things which got me interested in making content, and obviously my big recitation of Canto 1 of Inferno on Dante's 700th art site, death anniversary in the original medieval Florentine Tuscan Italian, which by the way I still know by heart backwards and forwards, and I'm finally getting back into memorizing Canto 2. I'm up to 73 lines now. Like, unfortunately, I just put that to the side like twice now, but hopefully I really will stick with it and like finish like memorizing it to the end and do another recitation video of that. And so anyway, some of the Dantean upcoming vlogs I should like to do are about art, like for example, like artwork of Dante and Beatrice, illustrations of the Divine Comedy that appeared in like, different book volume editions, and like artwork of the Divine Comedy, like in general, not intended for book illustrations, but just like for, like hanging on walls or like in a cathedral ceiling or things like that. I love artwork and, art history. I'm an artist myself, not like a professional artist, but I, just absolutely love those things. And obviously I absolutely love Dante as well. So it's like a beautiful blend of so many things I'm very interested in. And another video would be history of translation of the Divine Comedy. I did one a general blog post and video about the history of the poem's translation into English over the centuries, but this would be like more general, like in all different languages. Like, for example, what was the first language besides Italian? Or like, when did all these like major world languages get their first translation? Like, how many are there? And like, how do they handle certain things? Like, for example, obviously many of the Arabic translations, particularly in the Muslim world, they kind of would like cut out the whole thing about, Prophet Muhammad being depicted in hell, and like just sometimes like, oh, they would leave out a word that was like obviously compared to what, we think about nowadays as shocking. It's really not like vulgar and shocking at all, but like in like 500 years ago, like a certain word, like, a euphemism for like crap or whatever, that would be like, oh, we don't put that in print, like, for example. So all these like really interesting things to explore, like the history of translations. And also might be a good, now that I'm talking about it, like how would they handle, like curse words or just like strong language like that in like translations? Like, oh, were they leaving this out at all, or just like censoring it because like, oh, these neo-Puritan sensibilities? That's really something I should really like to get into more now I'm thinking about it. And as well, I did a part one in my blog and the YouTube channel about contrapasso with Inferno, which is basically like the sin the person did in life is visited upon him or her in death. Like, it's like reminding them of the sin they committed. Like, for example, the lovers were carried away by their passion, so now they're being like whirled around by this like endless whirlwind. And so I should like to do the part two showing how the contrapasso works out in Purgatorio. That's just like really, really something interesting a lot of people might not really be aware of. And as well, a general summary and review of each of the three canticles. I did a prior video and blog post about like a historical summary and like general summing up of the entire poem, but this would be for all three of them, particularly because like the ones I originally wrote back in, I think, 2004 for my old Angel Fireside, and I did manage to save after the website was deleted. I'm really not proud of them. I'm not saying I would be ashamed of them, but they just don't like represent my thinking process as someone now over 40 years old. They were written by someone in her mid 20s, and so basically there were just so many things I was like missing out on, like on so many different levels. And I really like to like revisit doing like reviews and summaries of each of the three canticles, particularly now that I have like the wisdom of more years. And I would also like to do some videos about films based on the Divine Comedy. That's like a really rich, fertile thing. I've currently on my blog, I've reviewed the two films from 1911. They're both called L'Inferno, obviously like adaptations of the first canticle of the Divine Comedy. One of them is like, I think like 15 minutes long, and the other is a bit over an hour long, and they're both very, very good films. Like they hold up pretty well. Like 1910s films, I'm sorry, this is getting a little off topic, but they're like a bit hit and miss for me, but those were like really, really good. I really enjoyed them, and I should also like to watch and review some more films based on Dante's great poem, and as well as Dante's life as well, if I can find them. I absolutely love silent film. I've seen almost 1,300 silent films right now. That's absolutely one of my passions. Perhaps in future, if people are interested, I can do some videos about different silent films, particularly ones which are based on books, and do like a compare and contrast. Like, for example, my favorite male actor, Rudy Valentino. A number of his films were based on books, like, for example, like Blood and Sand, The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, just like a wonderful, wonderful films and books both. So I would love to get into more detail about that in future, and as well do a video about the Italian language, particularly how Dante influenced it in a book review of La Vita Nuova. I previously did a book review, not really a book review so much, just like my general thoughts about it, on Dante's political treatise De Monarchia. That video got one dislike. I'm not sure why that person disliked it, because there was no comment to go along with it. But anyway, I should also like to get into doing some more book reviews of Dante's other books besides like the main magnum opus. Other topics I would like to cover might include my favorite writers, like cover art for books, like what I like, what I don't like, what I would like to see more of, what I just like can't understand, things that immediately turn me off. Like, for example, sorry, not sorry, the oh look, my head is missing, and particularly like, oh look, my head is missing, and I'm a headless, hairless, bare chest, and oh, there's a crotch close up too. Like, these things are just horrible. I don't understand why these became cover trends. And also like the girl in the big poofy dress, that's another goofy one, and the like the almost kiss, and just like so many cover trends I don't understand stand the popularity of again. But then, you know, I'm a dinosaur of the age of over the age of 40, and I could also do like, you know, hated topics, what makes me stop reading a book or not really like it. I have like a number of videos, I'm sorry, posts on my blog, which I would obviously like turn into videos and flesh out a little bit more, and maybe more do some more updated details on like books that I really don't like that did this, or like just awful garbage cover art, and my thoughts on retellings. Spoiler alert, I really don't like them most of the time. I think they, you know, can work, but like particularly nowadays, it's like they're just trying to like check all these boxes instead of like creating your own story. Like for example, if you like the idea of four sisters coming of age, just like write your own story about that. Don't just like, you know, call them like, you know, Amy, Beth, Joe, and Meg, and call it Little Women. Oh, but they're like, you know, like a Native American family coming of age in like the 1900s or whatever, or you know, like a Japanese American. I mean, family. I mean, obviously those that sound like awesome, great ideas. So why not just like write that story instead of like ripping off Little Women or like any other book? Like for example, Anne of Green Gables, I know, has come in for a lot of retellings, and they just don't really feel like true to the intended spirit of the story, or like the author's intent, or who the characters were. I really do not like most retellings because they just don't really seem like done from a respectful point. They're like, oh, I like the concept, but I'm just gonna like jazz it up with like 21st century values, which, you know, in the process of doing that, it really kind of like rejects and cancels out what the original intent of the story was, and makes it like a completely different story. But obviously I can get more into that in a future video, and as well I would like to discuss my writing soundtrack I use for writing on many of my books. You know, that's just like something that really helps me along, and I've been planning to do this for a while, a video on Russian pronunciation. In all of my Russian novels, I always have some front matter, like a note on Russian pronunciation, like for example the patronymics, the nicknames, like how vowels are pronounced, and just things like that, because I've never had a problem like figuring out like Russian naming system and how to pronounce them, but like so many other like English speaking Westerners are like so confused, and I'm like, did you even like spend more than 5 minutes thinking about this? Oh, I couldn't figure it out. This is confusing, but I'm not going to spend even like 5-10 minutes like figuring out how logical this is. Like, oh, that's a patronymic because that person's, like for example, Ivanovna or Ivanovich, that means like the person's father's name is Ivan, and just like how nicknames are formed, it's really not that confusing. I just genuinely have never understood why so many like English speakers think Russian names are so confusing when they're just like so simple, when you just, you know, take some time to actually think about it, instead of, oh, I couldn't understand it immediately, so therefore, oh, it's way too confusing and goofy, and I'm just gonna like make up nicknames for real life characters. Believe it or not, that has been done from some people writing alleged historical fiction with like Russian settings. Again, that's another rant for a whole other video, and possibly doing some like controversies about books, which I had planned to do in the past. I've already written blog posts about them, like for example the whole debacle over the books on Blood Air and A Place for Wolves and The Cape Doctor. These people are basically like bullied into pulling their books from publication because, oh, you're not doing it right, or I took this the wrong way and I completely misinterpreted what you were going for, and oh, I have an apology to the book community because I just, you know, wasn't doing enough groupthink, and now I have to, you know, do a nice little struggle session and like write the right kind of book. Oh, I hate this, you know, so much. And as well, I would like to do some, you know, how-to writing guides based off of many blog posts, which I've done in the past, like for example, how to write a hemophiliac character, how to write an Eastern Orthodox Christian, pre-Vatican II / traditionalist Catholic, how to like salvage some old ideas, like, oh, you like the idea, this was cool, but it's like just such garbage, even the best rewrite in the world like couldn't salvage it. But you can like plant that general idea into a whole new subject, or just like take the general kernel of it and like do like a whole new frame for it. Like when, for example, when you like salvage a house which has, you know, like a rotting frame but has like really good bones inside, like how to tell what a gimmick is, maybe how you can transform an old trope, how to choose your setting, and like things to think about. Like for example, like New York City is just such a freaking cliche setting, so if you're gonna do it, like do it at least a little bit like originally, or maybe like think about, oh, do I really have to set my book in like a really small town, particularly a historical, because you can't find very much information about it in detail, and just like you don't have to choose a huge city, like for example like Budapest or London or Paris or whatever. Yeah, it does help if the city is like at least mid-sized or large, because you can find like more easily available information, but you don't have to have it in a large city. It just depends like what your going for with the book, and just like wonderful, interesting things like that many people might not have considered. In using real estate ads for research, like for example, like the way house even if it like literally existed, like let's say 100, like 200, whatever years ago, in the real estate ad, it might not be exactly the same as it was. Like for example, like people in like 1900, they would not have things these like, I'm sorry, not sorry, I hate open concepts, like, oh, let's have no walls and doors because who likes noise reduction and privacy? Let's just make it all a gigantic open concept. That would not have been what the house looked like in 1900. Or like for example, like a beautiful old townhouse in Brooklyn might not have had like a wine cellar, or like a gym in the basement, or like a little like swimming pool, like things like that. It would have been like structured like and arranged much differently. So there's also something really cool to look out for if you're doing like historical fiction and you want to do like really good research so you get many details right. In another videos I might like to do, which would be again based on blog posts I've done in the past, writing about the post World War II housing crisis in the U.S., so the resulting exodus to suburbia and the horrible things that just basically set in motion and just like snowball, just like horrible things like probably nobody could have predicted when it was happening. I would also like to do some more videos about book reviews, both classics I love as well as like current books I'm reading, which is primarily these days like nonfiction, particularly about like historical and scientific topics. But every so often I do read a current fiction book, which is kind of like out of my like wheelhouse. So that's just again something I would like to do a little bit more of, and as well as doing some videos about typefaces, like what to choose, how to choose your like signature typeface for writing, like what you want to look for in a book, like for example like Georgia or Helvetica or like Jansen, or just like a journal or things like that for like the chapter headings or like the title page or the cover and the back cover and the like the general text of the book. I absolutely love typeface. I've loved it so many years. My typeface soulmate is Palatino, but I publish all of my books in Baskerville. I can't say enough about how much I love typefaces. I'll really look forward to doing that video, as well as like how to choose your point of view and tense if you're a writer, like in background on my own books. And as well, I need to do like a different kind of like video software for this, because I need to like record myself on the video, as well as like myself like tinkering around with like a document formatting to show like how I lay out my books, and like advice for you if you're like a writer, and as well as if you're a reader, like, oh, what is the best kind of comforting thing I want to read, like for example like what trim size would be best for my eyes or easiest to hold, or do I really want like words like so close to the gutter, or do I want like larger margins, just like all sorts of like interesting things to consider both for readers and for writers. Another video I'd be really interested in doing is again like something based on a blog post, like what else is new. Many of my videos to date have been like based on blog posts which I've done, like about books and writing and just other things in general, and like fleshing them out with things I didn't think of when I was writing them, or just like I was held back by word count restraint, or just like things that come to me as I'm talking about them that I hadn't considered before. Like this one would be it was a really important turning point in how I wrote about antagonists when I had to play John Wilkes Booth at a mock funeral for President Lincoln in my 12th grade senior year of high school. Like I was the first one to draw, like of course karma, I would totally draw the assassin, and like I was like totally shocked, how am I gonna like cover him sympathetically? And it just turned out I had a absolute blast. I dressed in my father's old wedding suit. It was so fun to dress in like men's clothes and just like play the antagonist. I got so into it, and that was really influential in helping me to write about antagonists in my own writing in a more like rounded way, instead of just, oh, person is just like cartoonishly evil or doesn't have any like motivations for what he or she is doing. Let's just make it like a total like one-dimensional villain who has like absolutely no reason to believe in what he or she is doing. And as well, I would like to do possibly some ArtTube videos. Not obviously that wouldn't become the main focus of my channel, and I don't think I would ever like do a separate channel entirely for my art stuff, but just like showing my art supplies and some of like the paintings and drawings I've done over the years, because as I mentioned previously, that is like something I've always been very interested in, particularly like abstract and geometric art, and like very colorful animals like parrots and tree frogs and tropical fish and things like that. And as I have mentioned in several previous videos, I believe I am planning definitely to make a second channel. It would be called an older pierced person's perspective, just like talking about like being over the age of 40 and loving body modification almost my entire life. Obviously I'm not like heavily modified. Like at the moment, I'm more like moderately modified, but I have many plans to get more piercings in future, particularly like filling out the rest of my ears. I currently have 12 ear piercings. I have 7 on my left ear and 5 on my right ear, and I have 2 nostril piercings at the moment. I'm really looking forward to getting my high nostrils in future, as well as obviously a bunch more ear piercings and like several possibly other piercings, here and there. So I would talk about that in more greater detail on my future second channel. I'm currently stretching my lobes, which is something I never ever thought I would do. Like I thought, oh, that's cool in other people, but for me it's really not my style. But oh, surprise, surprise. And particularly I like how it represents wisdom in many cultures which do this. And like obviously being over the age of 40, it really represents a lot of the wisdom I've accumulated over the years, although my goal size is like fairly small. It's only like 14 millimeters or 9/16 of an inch. And I would love to, do some like jewelry haul, like collection videos when I have that second channel up and running. I do have like a big not big, but like, fairly good size, like for like looking forward to. And also so I don't go past that goal size like so many other people. And I'm really looking forward to starting this second channel. I'll let you guys know about it when I do get it up and running. Now, I did say in the past when I got to 100 subscribers, I would start doing a planned 100 5-video series on Giovanni Boccaccio's The Decameron, which is absolutely one of my absolute like favoriteest books of all time and one of the classics of world literature and Italian literature. But I just feel it's more realistic to wait until I get more active subscribers. Like, for example, like an average of 5 to 10 comments per video seems reasonable, because I'm obviously not going to spend like a huge amount of time doing such a time-consuming series, like doing the research, gathering images, like outlining the post, like what I'm gonna talk about, like what I'm gonna cover, like different subjects, all sorts of things like that, and of course, like reading through all the different stories again, so I can cover them like to the best of my ability. But if like barely anybody is commenting, I'm not gonna waste my time. I want to at least know I have more friends and active subscribers who are interested in my content. So again, like once I get more people commenting on my videos, I really cannot wait to start this series. I just want to share my wonderful, great, absolutely like marvelous love of this like incredible, like indescribable book with all of you guys. It's one of my absolute all-time favorites ever, because I do have such a tiny channel. It did take me a great while to make peace with my status as an outsider. Like, I mean, I don't think nobody's ever been rude to me, God forbid, but it's just like I just kind of feel like I'm not really part of the in crowd or the community, because I just don't have as many subscribers as other people do. And like when I first joined and started like commenting, oh, these like several dozen or so people are all commenting on one another's videos, and they seem to have similar tastes and personalities that I do for the most part, but like they're just not not coming around to comment on my videos or subscribe to me, and that's cool. I mean, no malice whatsoever. I give you the joy of your friend group, but I just hoped I would make more friends in the year plus now I've been making content. But maybe perhaps in future I will start getting more connections and things like that, and feel like less of an outsider and a stranger. And I'm if anybody is interested in doing a collaboration, I would absolutely love to do that. Particularly talking about my own books or just like anything in general, and as well as like more buddy reads. I would love to do those in future. That would again help me to feel like more of an active member of the community. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. And I really do. I can't say this enough, although I know I sound like a broken record. I really appreciate seeing comments from people, because that's really the main way you can just make friends on BookTube and AuthorTube and get to know, oh, I'm not wasting my time doing all these videos. After all, people are actually liking and interacting with my content and like recommending me to other people, and just like growing my channel that way. And so it really does mean a lot to me to see comments. And when I see likes without comments, or more likes than comments, just makes me wonder, did you even watch the video all the way through? Are you really interested in being friends, or do you just like mindlessly like based on like keywords or hashtags? And so anyway, I really am looking forward to hopefully growing my channel more and making more friends in this brand new year of 2023. And thank you guys again very much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.